Welcome back to CEEN Caribbean News. Time now to go in depth. After proroguing the 10th sitting of Guyana's parliament in November last year, President of Guyana Donald Ramotar has finally set the general elections for May 11, 2015. The elections are being called a year early because the combined opposition, which holds a one-seat majority in parliament, and the government are locked in a political vice grip. We have been joined by Attorney General of Guyana Anil Nandlal to discuss the ruling People's Progressive Party PPP's plan for the upcoming elections and its stewardship of the country thereafter. Welcome to Indepth, Mr. Nandlal.
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners.
Thank you. Now, the opposition of Guyana has been clamoring for elections for some time now, but without success. And that didn't make things easy in Parliament, but President Ramotar hung in there. Why has the President called elections at this time?
Well, the President, at the time when he prorogued the Parliament, recall that he was forced to prorogue the Parliament because the joint opposition was prepared to table a no-confidence motion against his government. And the Constitution allows him to prorogue Parliament. And he explained that if they proceed with that no-confidence motion, then he will prorogue the Parliament. And he did say at the time of that announcement that he will offer an opportunity for the opposition to sit with him in dialogue to work out the differences which exist between the government and the opposition. He made a decision to prorogue, and he offered the opportunity for dialogue. The opportunity offered for dialogue was rejected by the opposition, and after various attempts to engage at different levels failed, the President did indicate that if the attempts at dialogue fail, then he will announce a date for elections. He made all these announcements since November last year, and he kept to those promises, and he has announced the date for elections.
How is the country responding to the election date?
Well, I think the response has been very, very good. Even the opposition members have welcomed the announcement, and they are not... first of all, I believe that they were caught off guard. They didn't think that the President would announce the elections. So after, I believe, recovering from the initial surprise, they all expressed their concurrence and support for the date fixed for the election. There was some criticisms in relation to the particular date, having regard to the fact that it fell in the middle of the writing of the CXC examinations in Guyana. Fortunately, we have made contact with the CXC registrar, and a formula has been worked out between the Ministry of Education in Guyana and the registrar of the CXC examination. And those exams are going to be written on a day other than Elections Day. That is, the exams which would have collided with the date of elections.
Okay. Now, are the ruling PPP and the opposition still at odds with elections in sight?
Well, to answer that question, one would have to look at the history of relationship since the elections of the results of the last election emerged, which put the opposition in control of the Parliament. The opposition has consistently used their votes in the National Assembly to force the government to reduce every single year budget. One would have expected that having an advantage in the National Assembly, that advantage would have been used to get the government to spend more in budgets so that the people of the country will benefit more. Unfortunately, this power, which the opposition enjoys, has been used by the opposition to force the government to spend less for the people of this country. That's one. Critical pieces of legislation were voted down by the opposition rather than support them. And these are legislation that are important in our national interest. For example, the anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism bill has been voted down by the opposition, thereby exposing Guyana to international sanctions. Guyana being the only country in the Western Hemisphere that has been unable to pass this law, and it makes us internationally delinquent in this regard. We had a hydro project, for example, that was being funded by the IADB. We signed contracts with international organizations to come and construct it here. That they also voted down. They voted down a multiplicity of national projects, including a specialty hospital, which we negotiated in tandem with the Indian government and the Indian Exim Bank, a brand new airport, international airport, which we negotiated with the Chinese and the Chinese Exim Bank, and a whole host of national projects that can catapult our economy to a different level, and projects that are transformational in nature, that will impact and improve positively the lives of every single Guyanese, have been voted down by the National Assembly. So you have a parliament being used as an instrument as an instrument against the government, as a political weapon against the government, and that is the basis for the bad relationship, for want of a better word, which currently exists between the government and the opposition. Okay. That will not, I believe, repair in a while. Hopefully, after we go to the elections, we will be victorious and we will regain our majority, and hopefully things will get back to normalcy.
Now, what are some of the promises being presented in the manifesto of the PPP heading into the general elections?
We have not yet prepared a manifesto. We are in the process of so doing, but some of the important projects that the population can look forward to are some that have been voted down. For example, the hydropower project will be restored, the airport project will be restored, the specialty hospital project will be restored, and then significantly there is going to be a highway linking Georgetown and Berbice to Brazil, and that's a significant investment, coupled with a deep water harbor that will make Guyana the waterway into South America. Then there is a bridge that will be constructed in tandem with the Suriname government across the Corentyne River, thereby linking Naikeri to Corentyne, which is the eastern part of Guyana. With the hydro project coming in on stream, one would expect that our manufacturing sector would grow intensely, and we can move from primary production in our agriculture sector to processing and that type of thing. So there are many, many projects that are there that will take us, that we will present to the people as projects for the next 5 years. We have a brand new ICT strategy, which is intended to give access to the internet to the entire country, as well as to improve and expand on the bandwidth available. We also have a bill in the parliament that has been stuck there that will break the monopoly which exists in the telecommunication industry. That alone will allow an influx of telecommunications provider and, by extension, internet providers as well. So there is that ITC front and also the physical infrastructural project, all that are designed to transform the economic and social landscape of our country.
Now, recently when it was announced that the failed Amila Falls hydropower project would be ready during the PPPC's next term in office, is that a proclamation of victory, in the confidence in victory at the polls?
We are confident that we will be victorious. The PPP, when one examines the electoral history of our country, beginning from even before independence, when we had internal self-government, the PPP has never lost an election. You know that there has been a series of rigged elections in our country spanning 28 years, and that is how we were kept out of government. It's not that we were lost or we were defeated, we were cheated out of office, not defeated. So our electoral record in terms of electoral victories is one that is unblemished. And there is every likelihood, and our expectation is that that record will remain unblemished, because the truth is that we have transformed this country. When we assumed office in 1992, Guyana was the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, second only to Haiti. We were a bankrupt economy. We had no money in the foreign reserve. Our interest rates in the commercial bank was 34%. We had a fluctuating dollar that was being depreciated every single year. And today we are the fastest growing country in the Caribbean. In fact, we have enjoyed consistently over the last 8 years economic growth at an average of 4.5% per annum. We have been able to keep inflation in single digits. We have reduced interest rates to 4.5% for housing loans. And we have macroeconomic stability in the country, and we are attracting investments on a regular basis. We have perhaps the biggest housing drive in the Caribbean. We have housing schemes here that are larger than any in this part of the world. And there's there is a lot. We have transformed this economy, both infrastructurally, socially, and economically, to the benefit of the people of Guyana.
And now, finally,
we are hoping that because of our track record of achievements, we will be returned to office.
All right. Now, finally, in 30 seconds, Mr. Nandlal, as we wrap up our interview, why has the party backed President Ramachar a second time around, though he wasn't able to get much bipartisan support, if any, from the opposition?
I don't think that the presidential candidate would have made a difference. Whoever we had put there as a presidential candidate, the opposition would have behaved the same way, because this is an opposition that has an authoritarian history. They stole power from the people of this country, and they ruled for 28 years until free and fair elections came, and we had international observers, etc., and that is how they lost government. And they got a little power again in the National Assembly, and they went straight back to that authoritarian type of mentality and action.
All right, thank you.
Therefore, I don't think that a presidential candidate would have made a difference.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Nandlal. We were joined by Attorney General of Guyana, Anil Nandlal, on the plans of the People's Progressive Party Civic PPPC heading into the country's general elections on May 11 this year. Stay with us. Sports is next.